Hello everyone, just a quick announcement before we start with our video. I come to a conclusion that our road with YouTube is going to end. And I have very, very good reasons why I've done it, why I made that decision. And if you want to know why I made the decision, I did make half an hour video which is available on Rumble, and I will leave a link for the reasons why we're leaving YouTube in the description. Please go there, please have a look at it, and please come over to Rumble as well, because from the middle of August 2024, not a single, not one new video will come out on YouTube. All the new videos will go over to Rumble, where we have a lot more freedom of speech. But the good news is we will leave all the videos which we've recorded until the middle of August 2024 will still be available on YouTube like always. It's only the new ones are going over to Rumble. And I will give you links how to get to the channel at that site. It's in all the descriptions already. It's been there for more than 2 years. And the decision is final. Unless something dramatic happens, I just cannot see me changing my mind. And that's the news. So let us carry on and enjoy this video. Thank you for being here. God bless.
Welcome to Legacy Conversations, a channel where we preserve military memories and history.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you are. All the Legacy viewers and Koos and everybody else, most welcome to, I think, the most unique interview that you've had, where two brothers will appear. The one is the interviewer and the other one is the interviewee. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my youngest brother. His name is Piet du Plooy. Piet has a long stories, lots of stories to tell you. After school, Piet he joined the police force, and he's going to tell us all about that. Even before he joined, there was an incident with a baseball bat that he will relate to you. Then he will tell us all about his school activities. Then he joined the South African police. His first station was in Belair in Durban. And then he went to the police college, and then he served from 1973 to 74. He went to Rhodesian border, helping the Rhodesians curtail the bad guys who came across. And then he joined the dog unit after that, went to the dog school. He returned back to, after his spell on the border, he returned back to the dog unit in Durban. Lots of stories about that as well. And in 78, he went back to the dog school for marijuana training, not to have it, but to train the dogs to smell it. And in 1981, he resigned from the South African police, and he became a detective with a bank, because what he had to do was to repossess all the vehicles from people who did not pay their installments. So a lot of people in the townships thought he was still a policeman, but he's not in uniform anymore. He's now a detective in civilian clothes. But and then he started studying again, and then after a while he started his own business, and then he will talk to us about the dog unit reunions. So we have an interesting evening, morning, or afternoon, depending on where the world you are. Piet, welcome, my brother, my youngest brother. And thank you for your time. Thank you for all the effort you've put into this to make this an absolute unique, I think Koos will agree with us, a unique interview. So over to you, my mates. I will shut off my camera, and you will be the highlight. Bye.
Danke. I think we're going to talk English now. I received a call from Koos to find out if I'm willing to do an interview on the Legends program, which I duly did. But anyway, where I started, I was born in Durban, Addington Hospital. That's where we grew up. Went to school in Durban, Port Natal, primary, pre-primary, and high school. But before I was about I think 5 or 6 years old, my two elder brothers, At and Lau, they wanted to play some cricket in the backyard, but they never had a cricket bat and they never had a cricket ball. And the best thing they could do is they found a baseball bat. And I think Lau found one of those iron things that you put on the weights to prevent the weights falling off your bar. And they want to use that as a cricket ball. Anyway, Lau was tossing this iron ball to At, and he hit this thing with a baseball bat. And for some stupid reason, I decided to run across the field, and this iron thing hit me straight in the mouth. Hence my hang lip. You just saw teeth and blood. But anyway, that was even before school. It was quite funny, and I still bear scars of it today. And then started school in 1959. We all played rugby. I was not a bad rugby player. I don't think I was the best, but I wasn't a bad rugby player. Then in Standard 5, we went on a rugby tour. I think Lau will remember our coach was a guy by the name of Gustav Player. And we went on a rugby tour to Welkom, bitterly cold, in the middle of June, on a train. We played 3 games in Welkom. We won 2, we drew 1, we never lost a game, and we were very happy. And then on our way back, we were all traveling in second class. We were all on the way back by train again, and this train comes from Cape Town via Bloemfontein up to Bethlehem, and then a part of it goes to Johannesburg and the other part goes to Durban. But be that as it may, we didn't know that. The captain and I decided, no, there's no hot showers in the second class, so we decided we're going to go to have a hot shower in the first class compartment, which was the coach next door. So off we went with dressed in our underpants, towel around our waist, toothbrush, and we went to the first class compartment or coach to go and have a nice hot shower. But anyway, the train stopped and go, stop and go. We couldn't care about that. We were enjoying ourselves under the hot shower. So when we finished, we came out of the shower and things looked a bit different. And then we realized our coach is gone. What we didn't know is that the first class coach at Bethlehem, they hooked onto the Joburg route, and our coach was hooked onto another train to go to the Durban route. Now we don't know what to do, and we managed to get hold of the inspector on the train. We told him what happened. So we stopped at Harry Smith, and the captain and I got off. He must know it's the middle of winter. We got no clothes on. We just got an underpants and a towel around our waist. So he arranged a bakkie, and 2 of us sat in the back of this bakkie, and they drove us down to Lady Smith, where we could catch up with our train again. Well, Mr. Preller didn't punish us because that was punishment enough. We were freezing, coming down from the Renens Pass in the back of a bakkie with no clothes on. It was hectic. But anyway, it was quite funny. The other incident I need to tell you a little bit later on. My other brother Chris, we played rugby for the school, and we played some of our games at Kings Park 3, if I can remember correctly. I was obviously younger, so our game was first, and then Chris's game was directly after our game. But the way it worked is that we didn't go to rugby fully dressed. We went fully dressed in your rugby clothes, and you just had your school clothes on. So when you're going to play the game, you just changed school shoes to rugby boots, and off you went. Anyway, our game was finished, and his game started, and I was running up and down the sideline, giving them some encouragement and what have you. And they had a very, very tight game. And it was very close to the end of the time, for the end of the whistle. And they were either, I can't remember exactly, but they were either just losing or there was a draw, but they were not winning at that stage. Anyway, so there was a movement from a scrum, and my brother Chris played left wing, and I was running up and down the sideline, shouting encouragement and going mad. And eventually the ball got to Chris, and he was going to go flat out for the try line to score this try. And I'm shouting. And the next minute I could see somebody is going to catch him and tackle him. He won't be able to score a try. And when I saw this, I shouted to him, pass the ball, pass the ball. Anyway, he passed the ball to me, running up and down the sideline. I ran through and I scored a try. The referee, the spectators, the opposition, nobody knew I wasn't part of the team, but we were all dressed the same, so nobody knew that. Scored a try, and they won the game. So that was just an incident that I'll never forget in my life. Anyway, after school, I decided to join the South African police force, not the service. Chris was at that stage also a policeman. And I think the year that I joined, I think he resigned and went on another route. I joined the police force in 1972. And my closest police station was Belair. So got to the police station, and they took me to a radio station, which was on a Ridge Road. And there we got sworn in, and I'm now officially a student constable. Came back to Belair Police Station. Now I'm so proud of myself. I'm going to now stand on the officer's side of the counter, no longer on the public side. When I got there, there was an old Sergeant, Dan Rhodesia. When I walked in there, Sergeant Rhodesia said to me, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm the new student constable." I'm so proud of myself. I'm the new student constable. He says, "Listen, but I can't say the words here. Beep, beep, beep." He says, "Get out of here and go and arrest all the stompies outside this police station." So my first day in the police force, I arrested about 10,000 stompies. Anyway, that was the opening of my police career, arresting cigarette stompies. But to give you a little bit of history about Belair, in 1949, there was, long before our time, there was the Indian riots, and behind the police station, you will see on the screen, there's an open field, and they were there running away from the riots, and the Bel-Air police station people at that stage looked after these people and made sure that they were safe. So that was just a bit of history about Bel-Air police station. Anyway, I also worked then with a guy by the name of Joe Aylward. And Joe Aylward, this is all while I was still a student, before I went to college, he then said to me, listen, I'll give you a tip. I said, what? He says, make as many arrests as you can, because it's going to help you while you're in the college. So I went out with the police van and I made lots of arrests, well, petty stuff and whatever. Anyway, so in June, we were all sent to college. And while I was in college, you get either a Saturday or a Sunday off. But then these court cases started coming up in Durban. And Joe arranged that these cases all happen on a Friday. So I will get a subpoena in Pretoria to appear in court on a Friday. So I left Pretoria station on a Thursday night on a Transnatal train. Just hang on a second, my mouth is a bit dry. I left Pretoria on a Thursday night, arriving in Durban on Friday, went to court, did my thing, spent the whole weekend at home. On Sunday night, back on the train, Monday morning, they will pick me up at the station, back to college again. I did so many of them that I counted that out of the 6 months that I was in police college, I spent 26 days at home attending court cases. So thanks to Joe Aylward, who helped me to spend so much time at home while I was supposed to be in college. Anyway, so we passed with our, after college, we went to a passing out parade, which was held at Loftus. You will note that they recognize Loftus on the next slide. We did our passing out parade. You'll see Pretoria in the background, and that is Loftus' main grandstand. You'll see there. We did our whole passing out ceremony there. I think there's another slide. We were doing the marching troop by troop, which I cannot forget. You don't forget these things. So that was my police college days. And then, lucky for me, I was transferred back to Bel-Air to serve and serve the community. At Bel-Air, which is not a busy station, we worked shifts and we had crime under control. Not much going on, although there were lots of incidents, but not a lot. And at night shift, it became very quiet, and it was boring, and you didn't know what to do. Trying to keep yourself busy. So I would sit in the charge office and practice the other guy's signatures. And I was getting good at this. I could do his signature and you won't even know it. And there was a detective, head of the detective there at the stage. He was Sergeant John Aisley. Sergeant John Aisley was also the investigating officer in the, I think it's 1960 or 1962 Cato Manor riots, where a number of policemen were killed. he was the investigating officer. Through his investigations, they arrested all the culprits, and if I'm not mistaken, some of them got the death penalty. Anyway, John Ashley was a seasoned policeman and a very good detective. So what will happen is that you will come in the morning, sign for the dockets, and then he will dish the dockets out to his detectives to do
Learn
the
from that, Simon.
investigation part. These dockets are entered into a register, which obviously they sign for. I could make John Ashley's signature to the T, and I decided one day I'm going to do a prank on him, and I signed his dockets, and I hid them away. And he came in the morning and said, "Oh, he can't understand this. He can't remember the docket, but he signed for it, and he doesn't know where these dockets are." And he was looking all over the show. And I could see this man is starting to panic because he signed for the dockets and now they are missing. Anyway, after about an hour or two, I gave him the dockets and I told him. So that was something I did at night shift. While I was at Belay, there was 2 other incidents where we attended a normal disturbance matter with a domestic servant, and we walked out, knocked on the door of the domestic room, and there was a lot of noise inside there. Not expecting anything, just a bunch of people making a noise. And as I opened the door, and before I could say Jack, there was a guy standing behind the door, and he stabbed me 5 times in the stomach. Luckily, it didn't damage anything, but he did puncture the stomach muscle a little bit. Anyway, the guys behind me dived over me, and we got everything under control, went to hospital, stayed overnight to see if everything was fine, and it wasn't too serious, luckily, but that was one incident. The other incident, while I was at Belay, I was being used as a trap for a drug deal, and that happened in Cato Manor. I off duty made friends with this guy in order to catch him. It was an Indian chap, and I said to him this, "Okay, fine, I want to buy some stuff from you, and we must meet on a certain time and a certain date." And I said to him, we pointed out a spot where I will meet him. The reason being is that the rest of the crowd will be able to observe the whole transaction. We hand over the marked money for the transaction to take place. Anyway, on the date and time, I was there, and the guy said to me that he doesn't feel too comfortable at that position. We must move to another spot. And I immediately realized now we're in trouble, because if we move, my colleagues that's watching the whole transaction will not be able to see what's going on. But I couldn't resist these requests, because then it will give the whole game away. So we moved to a different spot, and I realized I'm completely out of sight of the other guys watching me. We did the transaction, and I then decided I'm going to reveal who I am and arrest him. And as I did that, this guy was so fast, he then kicked me between the legs. I fell down back on my back, and the next minute, he had his knife in his hand, and he dived on top of me to stab me, and I tried to kick him away, and he stabbed me in my left knee. He then went a little bit back and he came for me again, and I rolled away so he doesn't get on top of me. And then he stabbed me in my left backside. And that was quite deep. And then he decided he's going to run. I tried to get up, but my whole left leg was lame. I couldn't chase this man. And I know that none of my colleagues can see what is going on. They're not going to help me at this stage. But be that as it may, his funeral was 2 weeks later. So that was that incident. I didn't attend the funeral, but I know about the funeral. One of the belay, you get called up for border duty, go to Maleeskop, and then you go and do your border training there, throwing hand grenades, walking for miles and miles and miles. I think we were one of the first, not the first, but in the beginning at Maleeskop, there were no buildings. It was all in tents. So just bear with me, please. That was quite an intense training. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And after your border training, you get called up to go and do border duties. I can't remember how many months after that, months. Then I was called up to go to the border. I had two. I went there twice, one to Vic Falls and the other one to Shirundu. Fantastic time, fantastic country. The wildlife is, you cannot believe it. I walked the whole escarpment, Rhodesian escarpment. If I go to a game reserve now, I see 2 elephants, it doesn't excite me because there I saw 100. If I see 2 buffalo here, it doesn't excite me. There I saw 5,000. So the game there in the escarpment is unbelievable. So at Vic Falls, we went there with a C-130. But I don't know what the reason was, but when you get there, you're right on top of Vic Falls, but you are still 5,000-6,000 feet above ground level. And the next minute, the pilot decides, no, he's got to land now. And then they dive, and I think it's to avoid crossing the border. Then this C-130 takes a nosedive, and you come down and you land at Vic Falls. Obviously, some guys had to clean the airplane because we took this heavy dive. We thought we were going to crash, but anyway. At Vic Falls, I then went to, it was during the raining season, November, December, January. I spent my 21st birthday there in the bush, drinking, I call it Zulu beer. That's the only thing that was available. So that was quite fun. But because of this raining season there, it rains for the whole day. And then, by 1 o'clock, it stops raining. And then after an hour, it starts raining again. So it just rains continuously. And you will get 3 kinds of mud. You get the mud that sticks to your boots, and after about 100 meters, you're walking 3 feet above ground level because of the mud that's stuck to your boot. That's the one type. And then you get the other one that's as rock hard as cement. It feels like you're on a ice skating ring. You slide all over the show. You can't walk properly. And then the third kind, you sink knee deep in the mud. And it's just horrible. But it was fun. And you wet, and you got your whole kit with you, and you got this a raincoat. It's like a poncho type of raincoat. It's got you can stick your arms out, but everything else is luckily covered. Your rifle is covered, and your backpack is covered. So what will happen is that the chopper will come and pick your platoon up and take you to a place, and they drop you off. And then you walk back and you look for spoor along the Zambezi River. And in your platoon, we all had our R1 rifles, but the one guy, he must carry the LMG. LMG, for those people who don't know what an LMG is it's a heavy machine gun. It's got one with a tripod and the belt bullets and whatever. It's a heavy gun. And luckily, I never had to carry the LMG, but we always picked the biggest guy to carry the LMG. Anyway, so, and then you got to walk back after a drop, you got to walk back 15, 20 kilometers in this mud that I was talking about, carrying your heavy backpack. So off we went. We did our quick inspection before we boarded the chopper. And got dropped off, and now we're walking back patrol. So the guy with the LMG, because the rifle is so big, the barrel sticks out in front of the poncho, what we call it, the raincoat, the poncho. So he couldn't hide his whole rifle because it's too big. Anyway, we got to our first break, and it stopped raining. And we took our raincoats off, and we then realized the guy with the LMG never took the gun. He only took the barrel. He said he's not carrying that heavy gun. So here we go on patrol, going to war, and he's got a barrel. No machine gun, nothing whatsoever. We couldn't believe this, but it was quite funny. And then we got to, and then I was at a place called, I can't remember which happened at Chirundu or Vic Falls or whatever. But I remember Chirundu, we had a commanding officer there, and he was a chess fanatic. He just wanted to play chess the whole day, and nobody in the camp could play chess. I was the only one that knew a little bit about chess. I wasn't a chess player, but I could do some moves. And so he said to me, listen, you play chess? I said, yeah, I can play chess. He said, okay, fine. We'll send the other guys on patrol. You stay behind. You play chess with me. Anyway, so I grabbed the opportunity, and I sat at the camp playing chess with the major all the time. And then one day he said to me, there was actually Old Year's Day, on the 31st of December. He said to me, listen, about 3:00 this afternoon, make sure that you are showered, put clean camo on, and just make sure you're ready. I said, why? He said, just do what as I say. I said, okay, no, fine, I'll do that. Came 3:00, I was showered. Guys asked me, why are you showering so early? I said, don't worry, I feel dirty. I need to shower. So I showered and got clean camo on. And then the major called us all, the whole camp together, and he said, the first 10 guys who's showered and fully dressed in clean camo is going with him. We're going to go to a Old Year's Eve party. I said, fine, I'm ready. Anyway, the first 10 guys, we were ready. We were going to Sonoy. So we jumped into 2 Land Rovers. By this time, our area, if it was hot, but I'm not talking about hot and sun hot, but hot and terrorism hot. The guys were active. They were quite active, and we had a lot of incidents. But anyway, so we jumped in these 2 Land Rovers, and it's about I think 50 kilometers away to Sonoy. because he told us there's going to be some girls there. And I mean, just like, don't ask us the second question. So anyway, we jumped into this 2 Land Rovers with a major, and off we went to Sonoy. When we got to Sonoy, there's a bar. And and then the major said to us, who's going to look after the firearms? We said to him, what firearms? None of us brought any firearms with us. Now we're driving 50 kilometers in this hard terrorism area and no one has got a firearm. But we were just thinking about the women at this party. Anyway, we get to inside the bar, and there were 3 girls, but they were all over 85 years old. So we just sat and drank there and drowned our sorrows. But anyway, so afterwards we all drove back again to the camp. And that was quite funny. I will never forget that. Go back to a bit of a more serious matter. We had to do a observation. We had to go and do observation on the crossing at the Zambezi River, where we suspected the terrorists are coming over, and a community helping the terrorists from the Zambian side to cross over. If my knowledge is correct, we were more fighting against the members of Joshua and Nkomo, and on the west side of Rhodesia, and Robert Mugabe's people. They were coming from Mozambique and eastern side and northern side of Rhodesia. So our task was to watch this crossing, but the place that we were watching them from, it was an area called Kasenkele. It's very hilly. You can't walk there. You can't drive there. You can only go there by chopper, take you there, and the chopper brings you back. That's the only way to get there. And you're right next to the Zambezi River, but you're about 1,000 feet above the river. You can't get to the river. But the river looks like a little stream from where you are. So we were next to the river, but yet not at the river. So we were watching this people there and see if we could see where they were crossing and what have you. And the plan was they would take us there on a Friday afternoon, spend the whole of Saturday doing this observation. And then Sunday, about 10 o'clock, pick us up again, bring us back to camp. So we made sure on Friday afternoon that we had some nice food there at the camp, not take any major stuff with us. Each of us took a rat pack for Saturday, your rat pack, your bully beef, braised steak, and all the other rubbish. So we could just have that for Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday, we're not going to be worried about Sunday, because 10 o'clock, chopper will pick us up and take us back to camp, and everything is hunky-dory. You take 1 water bottle is enough for a day. No hassle. Anyway, so the Friday, chopper came, picked us up, dropped at this place. But you must remember, Rhodesia gets hot there. Yes, like I think Durban is hot, Rhodesia gets very hot. So a bit of heat, and there's not many. It's on top of the hill, so there are no trees or forests. There's just shrubs, not place to hide. But anyway, so now we geared ourselves there on top of this mountain, and to do some observation. And we did the observation for the Saturday. Sunday morning came, we all now pack up again. Maybe I can show you slide 1 before we left for that particular it'll be Rhodesia 1 year. That was me at the age of 21, ready to go onto this observation post with my poro hat. I had a Portuguese camouflage hat, which I swapped. The whole Saturday we kept observation. When we finished the observation, we decided that was it. Sunday morning, we woke up, packed everything up again, waiting for the chopper to come around about 10 o'clock. We waited. 12 o'clock came, there was no chopper. We thought, maybe it's a little bit late, but we'll carry on waiting. And about 2 o'clock, we radioed back to the camp and said, hang on, we're still waiting for the chopper to pick us up. And the guy on the radio said, okay, fine, he was going to find out what's happening, where's the chopper. There was some form of miscommunication. The chopper went to Salisbury, which is now Harare, I think. Chopper went to Salisbury, and he didn't log the trip to pick us up. So there was no chopper. So now we're there. We can't walk back. Nobody can come and fetch us with a car or a truck. Now we're on this hill. We got no food left. Our water bottles are finished. And now we're stuck. And now we got to sit and wait for the chopper. Anyway, we started to panic, and as a bunch of policemen, we were starting to swear and we were cursing, and now we cross. Sunday went past, we're hoping something will happen on a Monday. Now you're hungry, you're thirsty, the sun is baking, still nothing. The one guy had a tin of condensed milk. So we shared that tin of condensed milk between the 7 of us. Each guy just a tablespoon of condensed milk, and that was our meal on Monday. No water, in the hot sun. Tuesday came, still no chopper. By this time, no food, no water. We're cursing, we're swearing. Wednesday came. Now the guys were getting desperate. On top of it all, one guy got malaria fever, and he was lying in the hot sun under all our sleeping bags, shivering because of a malaria attack. We radioed back to the camp. The medic said, what can we do? He said, what have we got? So we got bandages and some other medical stuff here, but what do we do? This guy's got malaria. But I said, we do have, we had a tin of snake bite serum. So he says, inject him with the snake bite serum, see if we can break the fever. Anyway, we injected this guy with a snake bite serum, and for some reason it broke his fever. So he was, he got out of that, thank goodness. But we must know, by this time, we're now in our 4th day with no food, no water, in the hot sun. But we were so high, we could see a cloud in the distance. I suspect it was a cloud that automatically formed over Vic Falls, over the waterfall. It's like a mist cloud. But it's a tiny spot. If I say a cloud, you can't see the cloud. It was just a tiny spot. But you knew it was a cloud, but it was very small. And the whole sky is just blue. There's nothing in the sky except for this spot in the very far distance. And our swearing died down, and we decided, guys, it's now time for praying. We can't swear anymore. We formed a circle. and we started to pray for that cloud to come to us so that it can rain. Just bear with me. When I think about this story, it makes me a little bit emotional, but it's true. Anyway, so we want that cloud to come to us, and it must rain. What is the chance that that will happen? Anyway, so after praying, we watched this cloud, and this cloud came nearer and nearer and nearer and nearer. We realized this cloud is going to rain. We packed our ponchos, the bibbies, over the rocks so we can catch up the water. It came to us straight above, and it started to rain. We filled our water bottles, and that water tasted different. It was not water, it was like food. We were not hungry anymore. We were not thirsty anymore. It was a miracle. Sorry. Oof. Bear with me. Anyway, the chopper came and picked us up, and we went back to camp and had a nice steak, a Rhodesian steak. And that was I've got a picture here when we came back, what some of us look like. I'm still with my parade. Those were some of my colleagues. So anyway, that was my that was one of the incidents while I was there. But one day we were walking patrol there in Monopools, and I was walking like we were walking through a swamp. This swamp is 70% water, 20% elephant dung, 10% rhino dung, 5% buffalo dung. That was the swamp you walked through. So we walked through this, and your rifles above your shoulders, for them not to get wet. It was on a Friday morning on the 11th of January, and 1974. 1974. No, sorry, 1973. 73. And the next minute, a chopper came over us, and they shouted my name. And I said, yeah, that's me. And they lowered a hoist. It was 7 o'clock in the morning in the northwest area of Rhodesia, far, far away. Lowered the hoist, hoisted me up. And I'm not sure what the hell is going on now. Anyway, they hoisted me up in the chopper, got to camp, and the commanding officer said to me, shower and get dressed and clean camo. I said, what's going on? I said, just shower and get dressed and clean camo. And while I was doing that, this chopper was there, blade still turning. He says, you need to hurry up. Anyway, I'm not going to ask questions, so I got showered quickly and dressed in camo. He says, leave your rifle, leave everything, just get into the chopper. But now you must know, this time, the suntan gets to you, you're dark, you are nearly black from the sun. Your hair is long, your beard is long. You look like a well-trained terrorist hobo. I mean, that's you're ugly, you look terrible, you look frightening. You can see this man is ready for war, and he's going to kill you if you don't look properly. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I got into the chopper again, and the next minute we took off. I landed at we landed at Salisbury, and on the tarmac, when we got there, the C-130 is already standing there, the propellers turning, waiting to take off, but the back part of the Hercules is still open. And he said to me, the chopper pilot said to me, "Go, there's your plane." I haven't had a chance to speak to anybody to find out what's going on, but I realized something serious is happening. Anyway, so I ran to the Hercules, went into the back, and there was a big Hawker Hurricane engine at the back of this Hercules being taken back to South Africa for repairs, I think. Sat at the back of this C-130, and we took off. There's a bit of a timeline that is important. I remember 7 o'clock, I was walking patrol in Monopools in the swamp. Now I'm on this airplane, we're flying back to South Africa. We landed at Waterkloof, got out the plane, and there was a colonel waiting for me. He said to me, "Come with me." Got into the car, he started driving. I said, "What's happening, sir?" He says, there's a slight problem at home. You need to go home. I said, "Okay." He took me to Jan Smuts Airport. Those days was Jan Smuts. I get into this civilian aeroplane, SA Airways. You see the people inside looking at me. This guy, he's black from sunburn. His hair is long. He's in camouflage uniform. His beard is long. I think they thought this plane is going to be hijacked. But anyway, so I'm in the plane, landed at Durban, Louisburg. And the time they picked me up at the airport, they took me home. And then I had a cup of tea at home at 1 o'clock the same day. So this is the type of service that the police force offered these members. Being walking patrol at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then be in Durban at 1 o'clock that same afternoon. It was brilliant. But anyway, it was during my dad's sickness, and unfortunately, the same night he passed away. So I was in time for that. After the border, I went obviously back to Belay Police Station. And then I decided to join the Durban Dog Unit. But you can't just join the Durban Dog Unit. The Dog Unit is those days, I hope still now, but those days, it was an elite, absolute elite unit to be part of. You can only apply, all right, to go. But that doesn't mean that you're going. You then go for an interview with the commanding officer and all his members, not all the members, all the senior members. They then interview you and they ask you questions. I was amazed at the type of questions they ask you, very personal stuff. But anyway, I was then accepted. And the Durban Dog Unit, well, the dog unit itself, it was, as I say, it was a unique and a very elite unit to be part of. It doesn't matter what rank you got. If you tell a radio station that you're on your way to a police station, let's say Mayville Police Station, to go and charge somebody that you've arrested, doesn't matter what rank you've got. When you get to that police station as a dog handler, the cup of coffee is waiting for you. They were the rest of the police force had utterly respect for you. And we were I think we were like that because of our commanding officer, who was Major Henny Meyer, a fantastic guy. Anyway, so I was accepted as a dog handler. And of course, you need to go to dog school to go and get your dog. And I ended up at the dog school together with 2 other Durban guys. And these guys' names is going to come up in the conversation later on again. One guy was Dougie Linden, and the other guy was Mervyn van Rensburg. Mervyn, by the way, is also staying in New Zealand at the moment. It was myself, Mervyn, a guy by the name of Andries Fourie. He was from Port Shepstone. And it was the one, Sergeant Meyer, I think. I can't remember his name. He was from Welkom. And then there was another guy, Tommy. Tommy was also from Durban, but Tommy didn't last. He lasted for about a month, and then he realized this is not his cup of tea. And he left. But anyway, so now you get to the dog school. Our commanding officer at the dog school, there was a guy by the name of Brigadier Stander. You'll see Brigadier Stander is in the dark suit. No, not that one. There were. Brigadier Stander, you'll see there is in a dark suit, a little bit of bald head. Brigadier Stander was the father of the well-known police bank robber, Andre Stander. Fantastic guy, unfortunately with a very heartbreaking family history. That was obviously not my class. That was just a photo I've got of Brigadier Stander. Anyway, so he was the commanding officer at the dog school at that stage. So we get to the dog unit, and then the instructor said to us, let me go and introduce you to your dogs. Anyway, so now we're walking with the instructor to the kennels to see what does your dog look like. And he shows me my dog. But what caught me first is the stainless steel mesh in front of this dog was bent. And when I saw this dog, I never saw the dog. I just saw teeth. I said, is this my dog? He says, yes. I said, and how must I get him out? He says, that's your problem. So now I'm sitting in front of this dog who absolutely wants to kill me. I'm feeding him biltong. I'm trying to talk nicely to him, and the more I talk, the more teeth I get. And he bites that stainless steel, and he bends it, and he pulls it, and there's no ways I'm going to get this dog out the kennel. I don't know what to do. He says, by the end of, before lunch, you guys must have your dogs on the parade ground. Yes, I tell you what, I sat in front of that kennel. I don't know what to do. And looked at the gate. Let me try and open it and see what he does. And as I stand up, the dog goes mad. He starts to bite and he starts to bark and he grabs everything and it destroys his food bowl. Everything is inside that kennel he wants to destroy. And now I've got to go in there and take this dog out the kennel. Cut the long story short, I don't want to be the one that rocks up on the parade ground with no dog. I told him, okay, fine. Let me get this dog chain ready and the leash ready. I'm going to open this door and I'm going to throw it over his head and hope for the best and lift him up off his feet so that he can't bite me. And got the Dutch courage together, opened the door, threw the choke chain over his head. And the next minute, this dog, all he wanted to do is get out the kennel. He was so happy just to get out the kennel. But I could see he had an attitude, but man, oh man, what a dog. His name was Sultan. Now, the dogs are, once they pass out, they become members of the force. They get a name. They've got a name. They get a force number. Sultan was A, stands for Alsatian, A1425. So every dog has got a force number and he's got a name. He's a member of the force. He's not just a dog. He is he becomes a full-blooded member of the force. Anyway, so we did our 3 months, 8 hours a day training. And once you've done that, you've only completed the basics. The rest of the training happens thereafter when you are stationed at your respective stations, and there you carry on with training, but that was just the basics. Various things, the dog is trained in various disciplines, and of course the main discipline was to tackle a runaway suspect. And there were some other aspects to the training as well. A bit of spoorsnij, but they're not tracking dogs. They are trained to track short distances, but not long distances, whereby you have your sniffer dog, your tracking dogs, the ones which you call I think it's a DBR, the Doberman Bloodhound and Rottweiler mixed. They mix those dogs together and they get a dog that's got stamina, has got a good nose, and has got the ability. So Sultan was Alsatian. He wasn't that. He was a patrol dog. But anyway, so we did our training. But remember one incident, I don't know what we did as a class. We were naughty and the instructor decided he's going to punish us. I don't know what we did wrong. And we got into the police. We had a van with all the kennels, and he drove us at about 15 kilometers outside Pretoria, away from the dog school. And he dropped us off and said, we got to walk back. When we realized we're not going to make supper. And I mean, if we're going to walk back, this is the punishment. We're not going to make supper. And that was the whole idea of the punishment, so that we don't have supper that night. Anyway, what he didn't realize, we're from Durban, boy. We organize. So we got dropped off and we started walking back. And the next minute, we see here comes a bus coming from the location. We had a mini roadblock. We stopped the bus, and we chased all the passengers to the back of the bus. We got into the bus, and we said to the driver, go. He drove us back to the dog school, and he dropped us off there at the gate, and we sat there until about half an hour before supper. And then we all ran to the dog school looking very tired, and we were in time to have supper at the dog unit. And the instructor couldn't believe what we did. But anyway, he thought we walked all the way. Meantime, we walked nowhere. And then we were still busy doing some exercises, some practices there at the dog unit. And the one exercise, what they call uitsig, all the dogs sit in a row 10 meters apart, and then you tell the dog to sit, stay, and then you go out of sight. And then you got to be out of sight for about 5 minutes. And then the whole exercise was that the dog must remain at his position, and he doesn't see you at all. And then you come back, and while he's still sitting there, you then praise him, and he knows he's doing the right thing. Anyway, we were practicing this uitsig thing. So we all sat there, and but at the same time, there were some dignitaries from other countries. I don't know, other heads of police from other country visiting Brigadier Stander. His office was on the first floor and it had a balcony overlooking the field where we were practicing. So they were all standing on the balcony watching us practice. Anyway, so there's the dogs all lined up. Doug Linden had a dog by the name of Jack. Jack was a proper cocksucker. You know what I mean? He was, Jack just wanted to bite and fight. You know what I mean? This was a horrible dog, to say it at least. Anyway, so the other dogs are sitting there. We, out of sight, we behind a little building. And Jack looks left and Jack looks right. And says, no, can't sit like this. You must fight. So Jack decided he's going to lift his teeth for Nero, which is on the left-hand side. That's Mervin's dog. And then he looked to the right and said, well, Sultan, you too, man. I'm going to lift my teeth for you as well. And the fight started. Hang on. And now these 6 dogs are in a bundle. You can cover them with a blanket. They're fighting like hell. And we all ran now from behind this little hut to this fight to go and separate the dogs while the big boys are watching us from the balcony. And as we're running towards the dogs, and Mervin, to give you this, before I carry on, I'm just telling you about Mervin. Mervin was in '69 the South African police heavyweight boxing champion. He was a big guy. Not fat, but flippin' strong and big. But he had short legs. And so as we run, I don't know what Mervin did. He tripped. But it looked like he dived. He dived and he landed in the middle of this fight. Jack bit his finger. Jack bit his finger, and today Mervin is working with a chrome pinky. Anyway, we broke up the fight, and Jack was immediately disciplined and inspired. And Dougie got another dog by the name of Caesar. But it was very funny. We still laugh about it today. I want to show you a picture of our class in a dog school. And you will see what I'm talking about. That's our class. If you look at the photograph, I'm on the right bottom, Dougie in the middle, and Sergeant Dreyer on the left, and Andries Fourie in the top left, and Mervin on the top right. You can see Mervin is not a small guy, he's a big guy, but you can see his legs are small, short legs. But anyway, there's Nero, there's Dougie's new dog, Caesar, Sultan. I don't know what the sergeant's name dog was, but and there's Rex with Andries there. We called him Camel, and our instructor, Sergeant Boshoff. And that was our class. But what a class. Tommy is not there. Tommy left after a month. So that was our passing out class. And you can see we already got our dog badges on the right shoulder by your bicep. We got our dog badge. A very proud badge to have. Not everybody's got it. So now we finished with the dog school. With our dogs, everybody gets posted back to their respective stations and back to Durban. And at Durban Dog Unit, you get obviously posted into a shift. They call it an A and a B and a C shift. Each shift has got his commanding officer, which normally consists either of a warrant officer or a fairly senior sergeant. Major Henny Meyer was the commanding officer, and his 2IC was Lieutenant Charlie Charles. And so now you go and work, you go and do your thing. But as I say, what an elite unit, and an honor to work, to be a part of the Durban Dog Unit. In the interim, I got the nickname of the Flying Dutchman, because I only believed in, you drive 2 speeds. You either drive full speed or you stop. There's no in-between speed. So wherever I went full speed, and then I had to stop. So those are the 2 speeds I was driving, and I ended up getting the name Flying Dutchman. But I think there were some other reasons as well. I will never forget that. I think my brother At said to me one day, he was also in Durban, and he said to me, is it exciting working as a dog handler and a flying squad? I said, yeah. He says, can you come and drive me one night shift to see what is happening? I said, sure. You got the nerve, you're welcome to come. Anyway, hence to say, what didn't happen in the previous month, everything happened that same night. I think that same night, we chased 3 stolen cars. And the one chase, I never knew I had such big eyes, but he was sitting next to me while I'm driving, and we were chasing the stolen car on the Southern Freeway, but the emphasis on the wrong side. We were driving against the traffic at 200 km an hour, chasing the stolen car. That was hair-raising, even for me. I didn't know what went through his mind, but and I think he said, never again. You can drop me off when you're finished. Anyway, I'll forget that trip he had with me, the stint on that night. And I can maybe later on tell you what went through his mind. I didn't know what went through his mind. But there was another incident, and I think where my nickname, the Flying Dutchman, comes from, is that I was sent to a very serious matter. I can't remember whether it was a housebreaking or whatever. And I had a black constable with me, Shangas. He was my crew. And we got to know, before I get to that, what happens is when you come on duty, is that you take your dog to an area where he does his thing, empties his bladder, cleans his stomach, and do his thing. And so when you start working, the dog doesn't have to do that anymore. He doesn't have to try and go for crap. Anyway, so you do that, and the dog gets into the kennel, and off you go. Anyway, so now I'm on my way now to the serious crime, and I'm driving like hell. I couldn't care if the road was red or green or yellow. I went through it. You know, I mean, I was doing 200 km an hour. I'm going through it. You know, I mean, so I'm young. I don't care. And when I get to the corner, we just flick the car into drive 2, take the corner, put it back into drive 1, and off you go. It must have been hair-raising for Shangas. You know what I mean? He's got no control. He's just got to sit, you know what I mean, and hold on, and we're going. And as we're driving, and as I slowed down for some other reason, I could smell crap. And now I'm upset. You know what I mean? I've taken my dog to the areas. He does his thing. He did his thing. Why did he mess the kennel? You know what I mean? But now I'm upset because that means I've got to go back to Catermanor, wash out the kennel, and everything. Anyway, as you go fast again, the smell is gone. And I slow down again, the smell is there. This how it carries on. Stop at the crime scene. Now I'm cross with Sultan. I'll take him, open the door, take out Sultan, take him by the leash, yank him out to the kennel. We go into the building, search. Okay, suspect is gone. We left. Now I'm walking back to the car. Now I'm yanking Sultan because he messed the kennel. Get to the car, look in the, open the door. The kennel is clean. There's nothing wrong in the kennel. Yes, like so I put the dog back in the kennel. I look and see if I didn't tramp into crap. Nothing. My boots are clean. Get into the car and I can smell it. I said, Shangas, did you tramp in crap? He doesn't even look at his shoe. He just says, no, I didn't. I said, look at your shoe. He says, no, I didn't. I said, but I can smell crap. He said, boss, I crapped in my pants. So, I had to take Shanghai's back to get him better to clean himself. It was so funny. And then we had another incident. There was a housebreaking in progress in Mbilo, the factory place, business area. Got there, and of course, being the Flying Dutchman, I'm there first. Get into the building, go up, and we arrested 3 guys on top of the roof. This is about a 4-story building. On top of the roof, we arrested 3 guys. Anyway, and they told us there are 2 more in the building. And I mean, the 3 guys in. Thing is, now we're going with our dogs from business to business, but inside, we first searched one, and Mervyn is with me, and I think Dougie was there also. We were all in the same shift, and we're searching the building. So then we saw that they moved to the next building next door. But there's no door. There's like a fan light window, which is quite high, which I climbed up and climbed through the fan light window to get to the building next door. And we realized that we're not going to be able to go there with our dogs. We have to put the dogs away and climb ourselves through this window. Anyway, so we put the dogs away. Now, all of us, Durban, our big guy, my mate, the Mervyn, he also managed to get through this window. So we climbed from window to window, and we ended up in a carpet shop where they sell carpets. But it's quite a narrow shop, but it's pitch dark. We were looking with our torches. And we're shining on the wall of the carpet shop are the carpets. And in the middle of this carpet shop, they've got a display where they display curtains to see if somebody buys a carpet, matching curtain, and normal thing. I'm shining my torch, and I shine my torch there at the curtain rack, which is about waist high. And I see an elbow sticking out the curtain. I didn't want to say anything. I tapped Merv and I said, Merv, check there. There's, and I shone the torch on it. He says, wait, he's going to kick this guy out of those curtains. So we said, okay, fine. Take your step. Merv took a step or 2 backwards. He came forward like Frick the Kickable, and he kicked. But what we didn't know, and Mervyn didn't know, is behind the curtains, there's an iron bar. Mervyn kicked this iron bar into his leg chin, and he fell down and grabbed his leg. The suspect jumped out and said, sorry, boss. Anyway, that story will stay with me for a very long time. And Mervyn kicking this iron bar. And eventually the key holder came, opened up, and everybody was arrested. That was one of the incidents I had. Another incident, actually not far actually from those buildings. I was also called out to a housebreaking in progress. Me again, Flying Dutchman, I got there first. And as I walked into this building, you could smell, there's somebody in there. You can smell him, he's sweating, he's anxious, he's sweating, and you can smell it. And obviously Sultan, hey, Christmas is early. And but Sultan was so excited. He was he got very worked up. And in this entrance of this building, the reception area, the guy had a pure white mohair carpet in front of the reception. But it was whiter than white. He had this mohair carpet. And of course, Sultan got so excited. I don't know why. I released Sultan to go and search now for the suspect. Sultan ran straight for the carpet and he put down about a pound of e-pole in the middle of this carpet. The suspect's sweat smell was gone. All you could smell was e-pole. It stank. But anyway, eventually he caught the suspect. But I wasn't going to do anything about the e-pole that is lying there in the middle of the white mohair carpet. And about a year after that, the case came up for court. And he had to go to court to give evidence in this case. And I get there and there's mostly blacks, but there's one white guy sitting there. And I thought to myself, maybe he's part of this case. I'll have a chat with him. So I went to him, I said, are you here for a court case? He says, yes. It was a housebreaking there in Ambila Road. I said, as a matter of fact, I'm the guy who caught the suspects. I said, oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. We started chatting, and he said to me, you know what, I don't care about the sentence of these guys. It happened so long ago. Nothing was major stuff stolen. I don't care. He said, but there's one thing I want to know. He wants to know from these suspects, because I think we've got 3 or 4 of them, which suspect crapped on his carpet? I said to him, I'll find out for you. I went to the court, stood there for a couple of minutes, came back. I said, I don't want to talk. So he still doesn't know which suspect messed on his carpet. Then there was another incident. There was a guy working with us. He was a warrant officer, Danny Cater, and another warrant officer, Errol Muns. We were all in the same shift. And Danny Cater picked up, there were 2 young guys, 2 what? Young guys. They stole a Mini, the old Mini Cooper S. They stole one of those. They went down to Mums and Toti, and they stole another one. So now each one have got a Mini, you know. So they came back to Durban, each one driving a Mini. And Danny Cater picked up these Minis, and they started to race away. So he realized, and he called on the radio, the registration number, yes, positive, cars are positive, stolen. So now the chase is on. Now he's chasing these 2 Minis. Before I carry on, I just want to tell you that in those days, we never had mobile radios. We had one radio in the car, a Motorola radio in the car, and it was fixed. So if you're out the car, you don't know what's going on. if you're not at the radio. So while you're attending a complaint outside the car, and you don't know what's being talked about on the radio, you need to understand that. Anyway, so Danny Cater is now chasing these two minis, and then these two lighties decided they're going to split up. One is going to go to the left, the other one is going to go to the right. So Danny started to chase the one on the left, and it so happened that Edo Moons and myself, we were driving both in separate cars. We picked up the other mini, which was going in another direction. So while the chase is on, these two chases, Danny would shout over the radio, and I'm going along Ridge Road. But by this time, one of our other colleagues, Mike Skeppers, he attended a matter, and he just got back into this car. He didn't hear the beginning of the chase. All he heard is Danny Cater chasing this car along Ridge Road. So he decided he also wanted to join this chase. So he started to go towards Ridge Road. The next minute, Errol and myself, we giving commentating about our chase. We say to radio guys, we're going along Sydney Road. So Mike thinks, Ridge Road, Sydney Road. So Mike makes a U-turn. He's now going to Sydney Road. Then the next minute, Danny will shout over the radio, I've made a right turn. I'm now going into St. Thomas Road. And Mike said, St. Thomas Road? That side. So he makes a U-turn again, and he goes towards St. Thomas Road. But this time, me and Errol, we are now in Warwick Avenue. So we shout, we're in Warwick Avenue. Mike says, Warwick Avenue? That side. He makes a U-turn and goes towards Warwick Avenue. So he doesn't pick up that we're chasing two different cars. He always thinks this is the same chase. And then next minute, Danny would say, I'm in Sydenham Road. What's man? No, Mark makes a U-turn and goes towards Sydenham Road. In the meantime, me and Errol, we chasing guy along Oldford Road towards the beach. We shouting Oldford Road. Mike makes another U-turn and goes towards Oldford Road. It ended up, Danny managed to arrest a guy in the one mini, and our guy we arrested near Stanger Street. Now the guy's arrested, he's handcuffed, he's sitting on the pavement already. The next minute, here comes Mike Skeppers with one hell of a speed. He just wants to hit this guy. We said, don't. You've got nothing to do. He says, yeah, but he made me chase in the wrong direction. So it was very, very funny. And there was another chase I had. I was driving along there past the Snake Park towards Mshlanga Rocks. And there was a Ford Capri Piranha at the robot. And you know, being a policeman, you got different eyes. You could see when something is not right. And I looked at the driver, and his face gave him away. I made a U-turn, and he started to speed. It was a stolen car. And I started to chase this Ford Capri Piranha. Sorry, my mouth gets very dry. But this Piranha, this thing was fast. And I had a boat, a Valiant. Look, those Valiants, they were souped up. They had two twin 4.5 Weber carburetors on them and a bit of a banana branch thing. And they were souped up. They were faster than any other Valiant you could find on the market. But it's still a boat. The thing is big. Now I'm chasing this Ford Capri. Chasing him along Alga Road. We turned right into Mgani Road. And now we're going full speed. And I can't catch up to this Capri. But I'm not losing him, but there's a distance between us and I can't get closer. We're doing the same speed, and he's motoring it. We get towards Connaught Bridge, and it's quite a bit of a sharp bend to the right. And I said to myself, he's not going to make it. But he made it. I thought, oh, bugger that. If he can make it, I can make it too. But my valiant said, no ways. I turned the wheel, but the valiant said, I'm going straight. I hit that curb. My whole front suspension collapsed. The front wheels were turning underneath my seat. My bonnet opened up, and I could just watch through the gap between the dashboard and the bottom of the bonnet, this piranha disappearing over Connaught Bridge. And for some other stupid reason, the next minute I saw the piranha spinning, hitting the bridge as well. I never touched him, but he's spinning and he hit the bridge. He jumped out, and by this time, my car came to a standstill. I got Sultan out, and we tackled him. So that was a very interesting chase of mine as well. But we had another funny incident where we were I think it was a Sunday morning. We worked night shift. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. We were only going off at 6, I think. We all parked there by the beachfront there, by the a mini town area. We all the squad cars are parked there. We sit there, relaxing, waiting for the night shift to finish. Dougie was with me, or with us. And here comes this lady, and she's walking. I tell you what, I couldn't run as fast as she could walk. This lady could walk. She was walking so fast. And we came to the conclusion, she's late. She's late for something because she's walking very fast. We said to Dougie, can I ask that woman if she doesn't want to lift because she's obviously late. You know what I mean? So Dougie stopped her in a track. She said, can I give you a lift? And she gave him words. Anyway, he said, what's going on? She swore at me. I just want to give her a lift. It ended up to be a lady by the name of Mavis Hutchison. She's an Olympic walker. We didn't know, and she was just practicing. She was just exercising. We thought she was late. I mean, how fast she was walking. And we all laughed about Dougie trying to give this woman a lift because we thought she was late. That was very funny. Another incident, we as a Durban dog unit, we worked with various other units in the police force, murder and robbery, drug staff, the riot units. When there were riots, we were there in the front line. First of all, try and control the people with dogs. We attended, obviously, serious crimes, not petty stuff, not paaslaan van ma stuff. You know what I mean? We attended the serious incidents. I happened to attend by accident. I was close by a paaslaan van ma stuff. And I got to this flat. The flat door was open. I didn't go in there with Sultan. I just went in there by myself. And as I opened it, I could hear the shouting and screaming and what have you. And I opened the front door. And as I opened the front door, the husband hit his wife with a fist in the mouth. You just saw blood and teeth. I didn't even ask questions. I just ran forward, dived on top of him, put him on the ground, sitting on top of him, trying to put handcuffs on him. And the next minute, his wife took off a high-heel shoe and hit me over the head. She said, leave my husband alone. I said, but in that case, you're welcome. And I got up and I walked out. I said, I'm not attending my paaslaan for my stuff ever again. So it was very funny. But because we attended serious crimes, there was a little competition in the dog unit for the most first schedule offences tackles. First schedule, I mean murder, robbery, rape, those type of things. And there was a trophy that was awarded to a dog handler each year. It was called the Eddie Gordon Trophy. I happened to win it 3 times. 2 times, 2 years in a row, and then there was a skip. The guy who beat me was a guy by the name of Sid Brittel. And then the following year, I won it again. So I won it 3 times. And it was a very prestigious trophy to have on your resume. But one day I was patrolling there near Durban Central area. But what happened in the meantime is there was a guy that phoned a lady at the Mooi River post office. He was phoning her. She was working at the post office. And he made all kind of suggestions to her. Every time he would phone her and he started his rubbish, she would put the phone down. And he kept on phoning her, making sexual requests and all that type of thing. So she reported the matter at the Mooi River police station. And the detective who investigated this matter said to her, listen, the only way we're going to catch this guy is we need to know where he is and where is he phoning from. So when he phones again, turn the story around, play with him so we can see if we can get hold of the number where he's phoning from. Anyway, he started phoning again and she played along. And of course, this excited this guy very much. He phoned day after day of the day, and she played along with him. And apparently he got very comfortable with the setup. And then on one day, he phoned her, and she said to him, listen, I'm very busy. But give me 5 minutes. I'll phone you back. What is your number? And that is the break we wanted, or they wanted at that stage. Anyway, stupid idiot, he gave her his number. They then traced the number. It belonged to a post box, a telephone box on Berea railway station. She phoned him back and he answered the phone and they carried on talking. So now we knew exactly where this guy is phoning from. I happened to be in the area. They asked over the radio, who's close to Berea station? I said, well, I am. He said, this is the story. I said, fine. Got to Berea station and I'm looking around to see where is this telephone box. And I could see it on one of the platforms. So I got Sultan out my car and said, boy, we got some job to do. We go and I walk towards this telephone box. Luckily for me, the guy was standing with his back towards me talking on the telephone. And I walked right up to the telephone box and I could hear him talking to this lady, making all kind of suggestions, whatever. I then opened the door and I said, Sultan wants to talk to you. So him and Sultan got talking, okay? And while they're talking, I took the phone and I said to the lady, don't worry, we'll sort this out. So she was so glad on the other side. She actually screamed. So thank you, thank you. Anyway, I put the phone down and I waited a while until Sultan, this guy, was finished talking. When they were finished talking, I phoned the ambulance. The ambulance came and picked him up. I think he spent 2 weeks in hospital and then he went to court. I never went to the case because I think he pleaded guilty and my evidence wasn't needed. So that was a very interesting case that I got involved in. Even to say, that I don't think there's not a criminal charge on the statute books that I personally haven't arrested. Some of them red-handed, some of them not. There was another matter whereby I was called out by murder and robbery to a house in Red Hill. A robbery suspect that was, he locked himself inside a house and they needed to get him out and they believed he was armed. He got to the house and we called. He wouldn't answer. And I wanted to get the seriousness of any injury down to the limit. So we decided what we're going to do, we're going to throw tear gas in the house. We threw tear gas in their house and I never had a gas mask, but anyway, we went into the house and I released Sultan. And Sultan started searching the house and to go to the one bedroom and Sultan barked at the cupboard. Needless to say, I opened the cupboard door and Sultan said hello to him and we arrested the guy. But by this time, our eyes were burning and the tear gas was terrible. And for that instance, for that matter, Dougie also had another matter that he was involved with. In between the two of us, our dogs and I think us received recommendations from the Commissioner of Police. And there was a bit of a news article about it. Not that one. It would be, yeah, there was a news article about me and Dougie receiving these recommendations from the Commissioner, which was I'm very proud of. Then, I think it was 1978, there was a guy that he had a dagga dog at the unit. Lieutenant, he was a warrant officer then, Mani Winnendal. Mani Winnendal then became a lieutenant and they gave him other duties and there was the vacancy came up for the dagga dog handler at the unit. I then, I can't remember whether I asked for it or whether I was nominated for it. But anyway, I ended up being the nominee to take over his duties as the dagga dog handler. And also still had Sultan as my patrol dog. So off I went back to the dog school to get trained get the dagga dog and train that dog. And I was given a Labrador. His name was Freddie. Now, as I mentioned before, the patrol dogs got force numbers. Sultan was A1425. Freddie was the first Labrador in the history of the SAP. His number was L for Labrador, L1. There were only two. There was L1 and L2. Freddie was L1. He was a golden Labrador. Freddie was brilliant. You could smell anything. There was an incident where the sun up. Well, anyway, we trained. I went to the dog school and. After Freddie's training was over, I came back to Durban with Freddie, and then I had Freddie, and there was Freddie there. maybe it's a bit longer. Yeah, there's Freddie. He was a brilliant dagga dog. There was an incident whereby the drugstore guys were doing observation on a guy that they suspect is going to export some dagga out of the country. And this guy was busy building a yacht at home. Talking under correction, I don't know for how long they kept observation on him. It was for a couple of years until he was finished building this yacht, the catamaran. And it was then after he finished, it was moored at the Durban yacht mill. It was called the Spirit of the Wind. And this catamaran obviously has got compartments to keep it afloat. And in the compartments under the fiberglass, that is where he stacked his dagga in these various compartments. Obviously, when he gets to wherever he needs to go, he will then take it out. And that's the way he will export it out the country. But at that stage, nobody knew exactly where the dagga is. But we knew that is what he was going to do, but we didn't know how. Anyway, the drug staff guys had close contact with the harbor captain, and they were watching this guy, and he obviously gave notice to the harbor captain that he's leaving on such and such a date out the harbor. And when he notified the harbor captain, then obviously notified the sun-up guys, this is what's happening. So I was asked to help sun-up with this case. We went to the entrance of the Durban harbor on the police boat, and we waited in a channel for this boat to come from the yacht mall. And obviously he said goodbye to his friends there at the yacht mall, and off he went. They're going now to the Caribbean islands with his yacht. When he got in the middle of the channel, we put the spotlights on him, said, sorry, mate, make U-turn, we're going back to the yacht mall. And we went back to the yacht mall. Freddie started to do his thing, and detected that the dagga was inside these concealed fiberglass compartments on the yacht, and which I realized this dog can smell anything, anywhere, and he cannot hide anything from him. That was another incident that I had with Freddie. Also had another matter whereby we went to got information from a house in KwaMashu, Umlazi, and about a dagga factory where they were rolling cigarettes. I took my job so serious that if I ever catch a guy with a dagga cigarette, I knew where he bought it from by looking at the way the dagga cigarette was rolled. I knew who rolled which way. Those guys, that's how they roll a cigarette, and those guys, that's how they roll a cigarette. So I catch a guy with a dagga cigarette, I knew exactly where he bought it from. But anyway, so we went to this house, me and my black constable, Mafunda. There was a guy in front of the house who ran away, and Sultan sorted him out, and arrested 13 people in the house, 3 ladies and 10 men. I need to stop the story there. About a year and a half before that, we were called out to a hospital in Clearwood where an awaiting trial prisoner was there for some medical reason, and he escaped. and we didn't find the guy. He managed to escape from hospital. We searched the bushes, but he was gone. Back to the Dagga story house. There's one guy ran away. Sultan said hello to him, and I arrested these people inside the house. Took fingerprints, sent it off, and when I got the fingerprints back for the one guy, went out his first names, but his surname was Mplongo. He had a previous conviction for dealing in drugs, escaping from custody, another one for dealing in drugs. And it looked like from the conviction dates, he was sentenced to a total of 25 years already, which he only spent about 3 months in jail. The guy who we arrested there happened to be the same guy who ran away from the hospital about 1.5 years before that, which I only realized then it's the same guy. Anyway, we arrested these 13 people, and they had an attorney defending them. The attorney's name was Griffiths Mnenge. Griffiths Mnenge was a well-known political attorney, political defense attorney. When the fingerprints came back, Mr. Mhlongo was taken away by security police, hence being defended by Griffiths Mnenge. And there must have been a connection between him and some political reasons. I wasn't interested in political reasons. I was interested in my Dagga case. Spent lots of times in court with a bail application which failed. They never got bail. And then my case, and he altogether got another 10 years and another 5 years for escaping. So I'm not sure. He must be out by now, or I don't know what happened to him. But anyway, that case. It was very interesting because Griffiths Mnenge was quite a well-known among the political circles. Later on, not long after that case, he was actually killed by the security police at Umlazi. Coetzee, I think he fled overseas, and I think he became a member of a political party, the opposition. But that was that case. And then I had another interesting session with our South African Defence Force. What happens is that when the guys get called up for the army camps, especially the Defence Force guys, they were going to spend 3 months on the border or 6 months on the border doing their camps. And they were not permanent members, so they were normal guys who still got to do their camps. So what will happen is that they will meet up at Natal Command, knowing they're going to the border, meet up at Natal Command with the kids. They get issued their rifles and whatever. And then they are taken there with a bus to Louis Botha Airport, where the Hercules C-130 will be waiting for them, and they will get onto the plane. And from there, next stop, Grootfontein, and on the border. And of course, some of these guys need to take some stock. And I mean, there's no Dagga dealers between Durban and Grootfontein. So they would take some stock with them. Not all. And of course, they would, I don't know if they got searched before they got on the bus, but anyway. So me and Freddie and the drug staff were at the hangar at Rhodesia, and our guys will get off the bus, ready to go to the border, and then they will line them up, sitting on a tarmac with a big brown kit bag and a rifle, and I will come out the hangar with Freddie, and Freddie will run up and down these guys. And Freddie will stop at the guy, put his paw on the kit bag, and the drug staff will take him away with his kit bag and search him. Some of them, the guys didn't even hide that they were found. And then from there on, the guy gets taken away by the military police and gets charged. Two incidents whereby the first incident, Freddie pointed out a kit bag. Drug staff searched the kit bag. They found nothing. They said to me, there's nothing. I said, no, Freddie doesn't lie. He's a boer. He doesn't lie. Search, you'll find it. I said, we can't find it. I said, okay, fine. Unpack the kit bag, put everything on the ground. Let's see what happens. They put everything on the ground, and Freddie picked up this plastic packet. In the plastic packet was a box of Omo soap powder. We looked at the box is sealed. And then we looked at the box more carefully, and we could see this box has been resealed. Open up the box, and in the soap powder was a plastic packet rolled in masking tape, and inside there was his dagga. So it was through that, through the plastic packet, through the soap, through the box, through another plastic packet, inside his kick bag. That's how good Freddie was. Anyway, the guy was taken away. There was another incident whereby the same thing. They couldn't find it. Open up everything. Freddie picked up his toothpaste. The toothpaste that you got in those days were not plastic like today. They were lead toothpaste, the tubes. The guy unrolled the back of the toothpaste, the lead toothpaste tube. He cleaned out the toothpaste, and he put his dagga inside the toothpaste tube, and he closed the back again. That was in his vanity case inside the kit bag, and Freddie knew he had it. He was absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, Freddie got blind later on, and he couldn't perform his duties anymore. But what a dog. I didn't work with drug staff or with Sunup, but I was an assistant to them. And at that stage, the person in charge of Durban, the drug staff, was a guy by the name of Mr. Bas. At that stage was Major Basie Smith, who actually, I believe, started Sunup in South Africa, but started in Durban. Major Basie Smith, I spoke to him the other day. Today he's a general. Somebody else took over from him in Lingus, and he went up to Pretoria and went through the ranks in various departments. He retired now, but also a very good man, a very good policeman, and I've got a lot of respect for him. Then there was also a matter in Chatsworth. I happened to arrest a guy, an Indian guy in Chatsworth. And that night I got home, and my telephone rang, and I answered the phone, and there was a person on the other side and said to me, is that Sergeant du Plooy? I said, yes. He says, I saw you made a nice arrest in Chatsworth today. I said, yes, I did. He said, you want to make more? I said, sure. He says, right. Tomorrow, or he gave me a date. On that day, that time, you go there. Don't be late. You go exactly that time. And those people who doesn't know Chatsworth, you recognize by the road number and house number. So it will be road 701, house 20. Right? So that is it. There are no street names, it's road numbers. She says, on tomorrow you go to house so-and-so, road so-and-so, 8 o'clock. Yes, and the next day I was there, and truth, Bob, there's the guy, catch him red-handed, bags of dagga, arrested, gone. He's going to sit 5 years minimum. Get the night at home, phone rings again. Hey, you did a good job today. I said, yes. He says, you want some more information? I said, bring it on. Gave me more information. And this carried on. I was arresting guys in Chatsworth left, right, and center. But not just maybe solid cases. But there was one guy in Chatsworth. He was well known, and even I think today he's well known. He's passed away now. His name was Billy Singh. And I said to this guy who's giving information, listen, give me some information about Billy Singh, because not even Sanup could catch him. He says, don't worry about Billy Singh, we'll get to him. I said, okay, fine. And so it carried on. And one day I said to him, okay, enough is enough now. If you're not going to give me information about Billy Singh, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm not going to listen to you. He said, it's Billy Singh speaking. He arranged that I arrested all his opposition in Chatsworth. And I think the man is dead today without a parking ticket against his name. So I thought it was very funny. But anyway. I've got one or two slides of me and Sultan that you could see this dog was ready to bite. This is my young days when I was still good looking and young. Now I'm not young anymore. I can't remember if I could any other slides there. The one that you see now was an incident that a group of us, the two guys in front, the one with the long hair, he hasn't got long hair, he's got no hair, but it was a wig. That is Dougie Linden. And Mark Word, Kevin Whittock, Len Nathan, Zimmy, myself with the black hat, and Paddy O'Brien. There were people being robbed at Addington Hospital grounds area there. And then there's like a lover's corner. They go and park the car there, sit and chat, and while they're chatting, they get robbed. And we got to hear about this, and we decided to do a sting operation, of which Dougie was the lady and Mark was the man. And they sat in the back seat of Dougie's Beetle, pretending to be lovers. And these guys came to rob them. And the five of us sitting in the background, we were positioned all around the car with our dogs. And we arrested them, and it was quite a successful sting operation that we had there with them. When our dogs pass on, as I said, they're not just a dog, they're a member of the force. And in 1968, there was a wall of remembrance erected at Cato Manor SPCA, where the dog gets cremated, and his ashes will be put in an urn with his name tag, and it gets placed in this wall of remembrance. And that all started in 1962. And I think we got a picture on there how it all began. That was in Cato Manor. There's another one whereby Major Annie Meyer and the dignitaries were at this. Mr. Meyer is the person on the right, the tall guy. What a man. So that was at Cato Manor. And in the meantime, that SPCA was closed, and they had to demolish the whole buildings together with our memorial wall. And everybody went and took their dog ashes away from there. And we decided that we need to have another wall, but where and who's going to pay for it? With our dog handlers committee, one guy managed to secure, with the help of Kloof SPCA, to donate us a piece of land whereby we could erect a wall and replace our dogs' urns at this wall. This happened now in last year or year before last. I don't know. I don't remember times well anymore. It was also part and parcel of our 60th anniversary of the Durban Dog Unit, which formed in 1962. The dog handlers from all over the country came to attend this. Canada, New Zealand, England, all over, wherever the dog handlers were. And we then collected funds, got some donations, and we all deposited funds into this fund thing. And we erected a new wall at Kloof SPCA. We all the dog earns, which is a very big occasion. But that was only part of what we do. We every 3 months or 6 months or so, we have a local get-together, just a little braai there at the yacht club, and just get together. And every 5 years, we do it with a bigger function. This picture you see displayed here now, there's some guys that's not with us anymore. This is one of the little reunions we had. And then there was also another one of the bigger reunion. This is the day is that displayed? That displayed, yeah. As you can see, after 40 years, I saw Mervyn standing next to me. I saw him again after 40 years. The old buddies stood together, Dougie on the right, then Mervyn and me, our colleague from Canada, Alan Robinson. That was the opening of our new wall. We got together, and we will stick together. It doesn't matter, we've all gone our separate ways, but we as a class of 1974 will stick together. They also came to my house and we had a bit of a get together, and we laid a reef. And if you can see in the middle of the reef, there's a photograph. That's a photograph of our class of 74, and sticks memories. Just paying some respects and honor to Sultan, giving him a salute. There's another get-together of us. A lot of those guys are no longer with us. And those are basically my time as a policeman. I then left the police force in 1981. The only reason why I left the police force in 1981 was when I left the force, my salary was 350 Rand a month. And I was offered this position in the bank, and they offered me 850 Rand a month. Nearly 3 times my salary. I couldn't say no. Because at the end of the day, yes, the police force the best place to work for then. But I had a family, and I had to look after the family. And shows you how your path is laid out for you. I started working at a bank. Very stupid. I didn't know why you would draw 2 lines across a check. I never dealt with checks in my life. I killed people. I didn't draw checks out. You know what I mean? So I didn't know why you would draw 2 lines across it. Just how little I knew about the civil world and banking. But being the person that I am, exactly 4.5 years after that date, I opened up my own branch as branch manager of a bank in Uitenhage. I ended up being the national development person for the bank, working in Sandton, but still staying in Durban. I then was offered another position from another bank to come back to Durban, which I accepted because my family was still in Durban, but my office was in Sandton. And I started working for this other bank. And at the age of 45, when I worked at the second bank, I got some shares. And I was there for 5 years. And I decided I'm making everybody rich, but I'm not making money. And then I mean, I also want to have some money. I also want to take my family out for lunch, which I couldn't do. So I decided to study again. I became a valuer. That was at the age of 45. I'm now 72. I'm still doing it. And I love it. I'm my own boss. I work when I want to work, how I want to work, and where I want to work. So, and I charge what I want to charge. So at the moment, I'm doing a lot of traveling, but I absolutely enjoy it. I keep my mind active. I see different people every day. I see different places every day. And I enjoy it. And of course, I can't just work. There need to be some fun as well. So because of my grandson entering a sport, I became involved in his sport. He happened to represent South Africa 3 times overseas in World Cup events in target shooting. And I got involved with this. And at the present moment, I am the president of air rifle shooting in KZN, and I'm also the vice president of South Africa in air rifle shooting. That is basically a little bit of life story of myself, with emphasis on my police career and the border duty. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, At.
Hello, Piet. I'm back. I never knew most of what you were telling us. There's a couple of things that sort of jolted my memory. That car ride, I think it was on a Friday night. I will never forget that. That's where I met your boss, Barcy Smith. We went up near the old power station in Durban on the wrong side of the freeway. I think we were very close to Mach 1, which is the speed of sound. On the wrong side of a double highway, driving on between the yellow line on the side and the wall. Well, I nearly missed your car as well. I'll never forget that. And when we got to the police were chasing this guy that stole this brand new car, and they caught up with him, And it was a couple of minutes later that we arrived from the wrong side. And they had hauled this guy out of the car. And there's a lot of policemen milling around. And every policeman that walks past him was very jealous of this guy stealing this brand new car. And they can't afford that car, the cops. So they used to kick him in the backside and until Bossy Smith came up and he said, hey, listen, guys, whoa. Don't kick this guy. He's got a 9mm bullet in his neck. So I think you remember that. Yeah, that opened up quite a picture for me. And then there was that same night that I remember. Now, I grew up in Durban as well, as everybody knows. And the police were chasing this car, a stolen car. And now I'm sitting in the middle with this Indian constable next to me, and on the other side is old Piet driving. And I'm listening to the radio as well. And then they're talking about this guy. He's in Red Hill. And the next minute, he's somewhere in the Berea. And after a while, I said to Piet, is this guy driving a car? Is he flying a helicopter? Because I cannot fathom this car riding on the road in such short times from Red Hill to the Berea. And when we eventually got hold of him, and the kids piled out of this car, the driver was 14 years old, sitting on two cushions to see over the steering wheel. They were children that stole this car, and it materialized that he'd actually stolen his own father's car. The father didn't know he stole it, so he reported it to the police, and the police caught him. But I couldn't, this whole car full of children, and the driver's 14 years old. And that must have taken the police at least half an hour to an hour to catch this little boy driving this car. It was really an eye-opener for me. And I said, yeah, I should have joined the bloody police.
it was a valiant barracuda.
I can't remember. Yeah. You 72. I'm 83. So, but there's a lot of things that I remember. What was there? There was something else that bugged my memory about you. Oh yes, you know I don't think you will remember it. Lo is on. He's also listening to this chat. You were still in a pram, and we had visitors. And Lo and I, at our old house, which was over 100 years old, it had three verandas, one on three sides of the house. And you were in this pram, and we had to keep you quiet. So we raced. From the one side of the house, on the veranda, around the corner, and to the other side of the house and back. And I had an Omega watch, and we could time who's the fastest. And I went around the corner, and too fast, and of course the pram tipped, and you landed on the concrete, and you were really screaming your head off. And Dad ran out the house, and he said, what's going on here? And I said, no, he bumped his toe. Because we knew we had a very strict father. We knew that something is going to happen now. I said, no, he bumped his toe. And Dad said, but this guy is hardly crawling. How can he bump his toe? And Lo said, yes. And there was a little crack in the floor on the veranda. He says, yes, Dad, he bumped it there. And we nearly killed you that night. Never mind that weight story that I hit with a baseball bat. But yeah, there were good times. But we grew up in a very nice house. We worked like hell because Dad was a very strict father and we didn't have lawns. We had rugby fields that we had to mow every week, and with a sheep shearer, we had to cut the edges. Oh man, that was the bad side. But we had many good times, the four of us. Unfortunately, our brother, who's just older than Piet, he was also in the police. And in memory of him, I'll tell you a little story about him. His name was Chris, but we called him Boet. That was his family name, Boet. When he came out of the college, he was posted to a little station in the southern part of Natal, KwaZulu-Natal as it's known now, called Isongloweni. And Chris was there, and he wanted to come home to Durban for a weekend. Only him and a sergeant. That was the total numbers of the police force in Isongloweni. I think there were one or two black constables as well, because it's primarily a Zulu area. And he wanted to come home. So he thought he'll just catch the train. Now, Isongloweni is quite a distance south of Margate. So those of you who know the southern part of KwaZulu-Natal can imagine the distance. So old Chris went to the station on the Friday afternoon after work, and he stood at the station, and he mentioned to us, it was funny for him because there was a lot of weeds growing in amongst the railway lines, until there was an old black guy came up to him and he said to the black guy, "When does the train come here to go to Durban?" And he says, "Sir, there's no trains here anymore. Years already, there's no trains." And Chris was standing there at this railway line waiting for a train. And he started walking. This is Friday night. And he started walking along the railway track. And he arrived in Durban on Saturday evening. It is a hell of a distance, about 90 miles, 90 kilometers, if it's not further, I can't remember. But he walked all the way, and he had dinner with us, and he had a shower or a bath or whatever. And then he went and he hitchhiked back to Isongloweni. That was his weekend, walking along the railway tracks. But we had lots of fun as kids. And I remember those years very, very well. My long-term memory is not too bad, but my short-term memory is gone AWOL. Nevertheless, Piet, I would like to thank you for your time and your preparation to share your life on the border with us and your experiences in the police. It gives the people outside of the police sphere, gives them a better picture of what our police had to go through in those years. I saw a photograph of a guy, one of these Cape Town guys. They've got a very good sense of humor. And next to him is a photograph of a constable standing somewhere in a queue. But this guy is huge. He is so fat. And the guy from Cape Town said, if you've got tattoos, they won't allow you into the force. But how can they allow this guy in? He can't chase anybody because he'll have to roll behind the guy. He can't run. It's impossible. He must be rolling. That's a big difference between what you guys had and what's going on now. But I remember the time when you were stabbed. I can't remember the year anymore, but I must have been at home because at that stage I was in the Air Force. But we came home very often. I had a girlfriend in Durban. So I came there every second or third weekend I was in Durban. And it was one of those visits that you were stabbed. And the year that I went to study full-time for my teacher's diploma, we went down to Durban because my wife and my daughter, I didn't want to leave them behind. So I said, all right, Durban is the closest to Pretoria. At least I can see them every weekend or every second weekend. And you used to visit us, and you had an Indian gentleman as a constable with you in the car. And we brought it down from a place called Rhodesian, which is way up in the Bushman land. We brought a colored girl to help Mariette with the kids. And that damn Indian constable made this colored girl pregnant. And now you walk around Rhodesian up in the Bushman land and you see these young Indian guys there, which is a totally different picture. And it all came from that. Came from my visit to Durban and you visiting us in the police car with this Indian guy as your assistant. And there, Rhodesian got a new Indian community. Okay, Piet, enough of us. I would like to thank you very much on behalf of Legacy Conversations to share your life with us. It's only a small picture because we don't have enough time to put all our stories in together. I hope that the people who follow us will look at this and listen to you and have a better picture of our times in the forces, in uniform, doing something for the country. In fact, all four our sons, our brothers, we served. I was in the Air Force. Lo was also in the Air Force. Jim, Chris was in the police. You were in the police. Dad was in the Air Force during the Second World War, and before that, he served in the SSBS. What was that? That's an acronym for this. Oh, I forgot now. But he was and our grandfather, who I have the name from, he served in the Anglo-Boer War. And his father as well, who you have the name, Petrus Johannes Jacobus. Yeah, that's your three names, PJJ. That is our great-grandfather. Now, I don't know whether... Yeah, he served in the Anglo-Boer War as well because he was captured with our grandfather, and they were sent as prisoners of war to Bermuda. They stayed there for 18 months before they were demobbed back to South Africa. So we have a very strong military background, all of us, and our ancestors. But in any case, thank you very much, Piet, and all of the very best to the family and all your mates. And I lift my hat and I give a salute to the dogs who didn't really have a voice, but served our country so well. And then let's not forget the horses. In the previous generations, there were a lot of police horses. The police still open up the opening of Parliament on horseback. There's a horse contingent. And even in the Bush War, the horses served a very good purpose. So the animals that fought on our behalf, you know, the South African police actually had camels as well. In years gone past, they used to patrol the dry areas like the old Southwest Africa, which is now Namibia, and the Kalahari and those places. They used to patrol them on the back of camels. Because of their endurance, they don't need to drink water every day and so on. So we come a long way with the assistance of camels and of animals of various sorts. Other than that, if guys have questions, they can contact us through Legacy Conversations. We're an organization where we don't want the history of our men to disappear. We invite you. There's a Zoom presentation every week that Koos, who incidentally lives on Phuket Island, he's our boss. He's our leader, whatever. And Koos is doing a fantastic job. So all of the very best, my friend. And we can stop the recording here.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to receive notifications.